YouTubers, and welcome to Level-Headed News. This is your host, Brenda. I have 8 articles in this episode for you. They're all about Syria and North Korea and related topics. Details are in the description of the video for your convenience. What you hear is off of Zero Hedge. It says, an ambassador, U.S. ambassador, regime change top priority. It says the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, who has done a remarkable job of continuing the diplomatic tone set by her predecessor, Samantha Power, said in an interview, State of the Union, which will air in full on Sunday, that Syria as one of Trump's administration's top Syria. Her statement, is getting out of control here. Scroll back down a little bit. Let's see. Was a complete U-turn just over a week ago when she told a group of reporters that the U.S. was no longer focused on getting a. In her CNN interview, Haley also said Islamic State pushing Iranian influence out of Syria and the ouster of President Bashar al-Assad authorities for Washington. Hamster can move a bit. Poor little hamster. He's and then she tells can't seem to get on the same page here. Well, off. He's just going to take off, go clear the bottom. He's got a bet. Come on. I think that's what's hamster. He gets real confused with split up to view the video. You can do that. It says there's not any sort of political solution is going to happen with Assad at the head of the told CNN anchor Jake Tapper. Is that situation? It's going to be hard to see a government that's peaceful and stable with Assad, with Syria with Assad in there, Haley added. Come on, hamster. Haley's remarks come just a day after she warned that the United States was prepared to take further actions in Syria. A special session at the UN following a military strike against a Syria. The United States took a very measured step last night, Haley said at the UN special sessions on Friday. We are prepared to do more, but we hope that will not be necessary. It has advised nations to stop what are taking place in Syria. Political solution. Contrast this with what she said on March the 30th. And choose your battles. And when this, it's about changing. And our priority is no longer to sit there and focus on getting Assad out. Haley told reporters on March the 30th, just days before dozens of died from chemical weapon injuries. Top to take a more patient stand regarding state rex. Saturday that Washington's first priority is the defeat of. Once the threat from the Islamic State has been reduced or eliminated, I think we can turn our attention to stabilizing in Syria, Tillerson said in excerpts from the CBS's that will air in full on Sunday. Quoted by Rutgers, Tillerson said that the United States is hopeful it can bring parties together to begin the process of handling a solution. If we can achieve ceasefire of stabilization in Syria, then I believe we'll have the conditions to begin a useful political, Tillerson said. Speaking on ABC Sunday, Tillerson took a similar conciliatory approach toward North Korea, saying that a regime change of the country's leader, Kim, is also not. Tillerson said that while the U.S. wants a denuclearized Korean peninsula, it has no objective the regime in North Korea. When asked about reports the U.S. would consider killing, I'm aware of no such plans. So there's that article. The next for you should be here. This is from BizPac Review. Nikki Haley, Jake Tapper, U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, warning to the enemies of America on Sunday: be afraid. Jake trip up Haley when she appeared on CNN's State of the Nation, but Haley came prepared. As you know, President Trump used to believe that congressional approval was needed for any kind of military strike in Syria. I know you're a fan of his tweets. Here's one of his tweets from 2013, said before showing the tweet where Donald Trump said President Obama should get approval from Congress before attacking Syria. Conveniently ignored the fact that the tweet was sent to the president and was privy to intelligence briefings on the situation in Syria. And that the Assad regime was behind this chemical weapon attack. Further military action is there. Lay out the evidence, come to Congress, and get the specific authorization to use force. The ambassador explained that President Trump did consult congressional leaders and his cabinet before ordering the strike. Well, it depends on the action, but I can tell you that he worked very closely with the leaders in Congress, all of the cabinet members, the praising General Mattis. I think that's what you're going to see this administration do, Haley said. The only surprises are going to be to the international community, but working with everybody. This video of that conversation. The next one's off of BizPac Review. Says liberal editor takes brutal hits for saying Trump's tomahawks must not of Native Americans. Liberal editor of the far-left magazine Mother Jones was brutally roasted on social media after she suggested that the Tomahawk missile is offensively named. Tweeted on Saturday that the name of the cruise missile that struck Syria in response to a chemical on civilians must enrage Native Americans. That the missiles are called Tomahawks must enrage a lot of Native Americans, she said. It didn't appear that many Native Americans expressed outrage over the missile's name, not even herself, Elizabeth Warren. And social media users showed no mercy. They put out tweets saying things like, I think generally they have enraged about. Another one says, this take brought to you by the people who handed Trump the presidency. Another one says, only those looking for a reason to be pissed off. It's a tribute and not mockery. More if you want to pull those up to read those. One simply puts out a tweet saying you're nuts. Oh my goodness. There's a bunch of them here and they get pretty funny. So if you want to read those, you can pull those up yourself. The next one is off of Liberty Writers. As Rex Tillerson just went on TV and said one thing that'll shock Vladimir Putin. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson will now be headed to Moscow this week after Trump fired Tomahawk missiles into Syria, and will be confronting Russia with evidence that the country knew about the sarin attack and wanted to cover it up. And there's video of Tillerson if you want to take a look at it. It says Rex Tillerson is going to have Trump foreign policy, which is shaping up nowadays. Tillerson, according to the Sunday Times, will confront Russia. What Rex Tillerson promised to the American people. Secretary of State Tillerson said that the main focus in Syria will be the defeat of ISIS, and there's video. I think it is important we keep our priorities straight, and we believe the first priority is to defeat ISIS, Rex told the CBS Face the Nation. By defeating ISIS and removing their, we will have eliminated or at least minimized a threat to the United States, but to the whole stability of the region. And once the ISIS threat has been reduced or eliminated, I think we can turn our attention directly to stabilizing the situation in Syria, prevent a continuation of the civil war, and then we can bring parties to the table to begin political discussions. He then said clearly the participation of the regime with the support of their allies, and we're hoping Russia will choose to play a constructive role in supporting ceasefires ultimately through Geneva. We hope we will have the position to begin useful political process. There, the next one we have here is off of Liberty Headlines. It says Trump loses influential supporters after Syrian missile strike. Report of a sarin gas incident on McCain's mercenaries in Syria. Supporters resume change and, with Hillary Clinton's recommendation, launches a missile attack on Assad's government. Influential Trump supporters feel betrayed and slam the decision. In a video below, outspoken veteran and former Trump supporter Angelo John Gage expresses his disgust over the missile attack directly to Trump on Twitter, to be growing among influential Trump supporters who believed his promises to stop foreign interventions and focus on rebuilding America. John Gage tweets out, part 2, this time I'm calm. POTUS at Real Donald Trump, Syria gas attack, Syria pick Twitter, and there's a blink. Joseph Watson of InfoWars also stated last evening, I'm officially off the Trump train after the illegal strikes against Syrian government. Tweet says, I guess Trump wasn't Putin's puppet after all. He was just another deep state neocon puppet. I'm officially off the Trump train. Call from upstairs because he walked back his rhetoric this morning, accusing the fake news. He put out a tweet, the Trump train in terms of Syria, which I will criticize, but I have not turned on Trump as the media claims fake news. Joseph Watson. Next one here is also from Watson. It says, to Watson's credit, he is standing up to the neocon pressure, saying, guys, I can't vehemently oppose destabilizing the Syrian government for 6 years and then support it just because Trump did it. Sorry. Stephan managed to get in some news. Try that again. Managed to get in some blows against Trump. Mullenix says attacking Syria is a huge mistake. Welcome back to reality, folks. Cheerleader for Trump Ann Coulter tweeted this after the attack and has been a shark in the bloody water ever since. She puts a tweet out saying Trump campaign not on getting involved in the Mideast, said it always helps our enemies and creates more refugees. Saw a picture on TV, and then she tweeted out, if only McCain, Lindsey Graham would run for president themselves, we could see how popular bombing the Mideast is. Wait, what? And Trump puts out a tweet, says, but perhaps Trump is his own best critic. In previous tweets to Obama about Syria, this was on September the 5th of 2013. He said, again, to our very foolish leader, do not attack Syria. If you do, many very bad things will happen and the U.S. gets nothing. What will we get for bombing Syria besides more debt and possible long-term conflict? Congressional approval. That I have for you is off of nzherald.nz. Fears grow over mystery Russian compound in Nicaragua. U.S. officials keeping a keen eye on Russian complex nestled on the edge of a volcanic crater in Nicaragua. Center, which is believed to be a satellite station, has been built near the Laguna Papa in Manigua. of the Central American nation, according to Daily Mail. The Washington Post reports the local government described the complex as simply a tracking site of the Russian version of the GPS satellite system, but not everyone is convinced it isn't something more sinister. There's been a lot of activity, and it's on the uptick now. A U.S. official and expert on Central America told the newspaper. Other officials said there are concerns the hub could be a dual-use facility, meaning it could workers with the ability to conduct electronic surveillance against American citizens. The compound is located. It offers those who are based there a clear view of the U.S. Embassy about 10 miles away in the heart of Managua. One local spokes about the type of people working at the GPS center. We have no idea, she told the Times. Rumors it was a spy center, before adding, they are Russian and they speak Russian and they carry around Russian apparatus. The increase in activity is the latest in a growing string of similar upticks by Putin's government in recent years, including sending troops into Crimea, backing Ukrainian separatists, and the country's involvement in Syria and Iraq. According to the Times, believe this could be a different, however, as it could be a direct response to American activity in Eastern Europe. And while the U.S. is not entirely alarmed, it is on alert and acting accordingly. A new State Department chief of the country was moved there from the Russian desk. And officials, the Times reports, recently been sent to Nicaragua, speak Russian, or have experience in the former Soviet state. They have long, complicated history with the Soviet Union backed rebels during the Cold War to overthrow the American-supported dictator Somoza in 1979. It was quick to respond through its weight behind rebels known as Contras, who fought against the Soviet-friendly. Tens of thousands were killed, and in recent years, Russia has worked to establish its foothold, which largely disappeared after the Soviet Union fell. Putin's government has donated everything from wheat to buses. Nicaragua was seen by many intelligence officials as an attempt by Russians to have a military presence in the heart of Central America. Sold tanks and other military equipment to the Nicaraguan government. The Times reports experts on the country believes there are about 250 Russian military personnel currently stationed there. Told the newspaper, America and other countries nearby are right to be worried about just what Russia is up to. The United States and countries of the region should be concerned, Gonzalez, who was Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for the Western Hemisphere Affairs, Barack Obama said. Nicaragua offers a beachhead for Russia to expand its intel capabilities and election meddling close to the United States. The article that I have is off Zero Hedge. As soon as the hamster cooperates with me, it's having an issue with these Zero Hedge articles for some reason. Load this and see if that'll help the hamster any. Maybe he just needs his memory jogged. Okay, that did it. South Korean paper reports China. It was there. Try that again. Okay, South Korean paper reports China has deployed 150,000 troops to North Korea. While the catalyst is unclear, it appears the market dropped as headlines of further sanctions against Russia appeared and reports of China deploying 150,000 troops to its North Korea border. According to the Korean news agency Chosun, the Chinese army has deployed about 150,000 troops to the North Korea border to prepare for unforeseen circumstances. The reason? Military options such as preemptive attacks on North Korea, like the one the United States launched on Syria. We'll goose the hamster here and get him to Google. It says, as the United States announces its independent North Korea behavior and moved the United States Navy nuclear-powered CVN-70 carrier class to Singapore, the Chinese Army has deployed about 150,000 troops to prepare for unforeseen circumstances. The report said it is because of the prospect of military options, such as preemptive attacks on North Korea, just as the United States has launched an air raid on Syria. Japan's Shimbun, the 9th, that the Syrian missile strike in the United States shocked China, that the People's Liberation Army forces are moving toward the Yalu. The newspaper said it was also broadcast on the internet, but the authorities removed the relevant information, saying that the move was a medical and aft support unit for the Sheng bulb, the Northern Light bulb. Is a report by Russian Interfax that Moscow is preparing for more sanctions and has warned local air companies about possible suspension of charter flights with two. Sanctions against Russian military over Syria, not to affect Russia's action in Syria, fight terrorists to continue. Ozarov. Companies received warning about possible suspension of charter flights with Turkey. Of course, says whatever the catalyst, the is clear. The reality behind 5 misconceptions. Ads, sorry, are on me. Stocks below the level right before Syrian airstrikes began, and there's some charts here of what's going on with that. Since the Dow is back at crucial support at 50-day moving average, everything but trannies back into the red for the day, and it shows that. I mean, it's just bottoming out. Gold over 1250 as the USD JPY suddenly plunges. That's rather concerning, but not unexpected, I don't believe. We kind of figured that that was what their excuse was going to be for the things. So, and the final article that I have in this episode is off of the dailymail.co.uk. It says, Trump orders his generals give taking out Kim's nukes and tells military to prepare North Korean threat. Master said Trump wants options for taking out North Korea's nukes. Did not say what the options are. It's likely to be considered. He spoke as USS Carl Vinson strike group was redeployed to Korean Peninsula. McMaster said move is North's behavior. President Trump has asked advisors to be ready with a list of options to put an end to North Korea's nuclear threat. H.R. McMaster said on Sunday that the commander-in-chief has put his security team on notice as a U.S. carrier strike group heads for the region. He did not say what options Trump will be presented with, though many believe preemptive strikes will be among them. In this, if you want to pull that up to view that. McMaster himself, to the White House, described the decision to redeploy the USS Carl Vinson to the Sea of Japan as prudent given North Korea's pattern of behavior. Speaking to Fox News on Sunday with Chris Wallace about the deployment, McMaster said, "Do it, isn't it?" Presidents before and President Trump agreed that acceptable, but what must happen is the denuclearization of the peninsula. The president has asked us to be prepared to give us a full range of options to remove that threat. after Trump launched cruise missiles against Assad in Syria last week, the first time the U.S. has directly targeted the regime during the conflict. North Korea denounced Trump's attacks as an act of intolerable aggression and one that is a million times over is its push toward a nuclear deterrent. On Saturday, Admiral Harry Harris, commander of U.S. Pacific Command, redirected the USS Carl Vinson strike group from Singapore to an east of the Korean Peninsula. And there's more video and some pictures. It says the Navy said that the strike group will operate in the Western Pacific rather than executing port visits to Australia. The moves come a week after Trump warned China that he is willing to go it alone in solving the North Korea issue. While the president did not make it clear what the solution would look like, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson has since insisted it does not involve removing the Kim regime. That's not our objective. The reason underlying the development of a nuclear program in North Korea are simply not credible, Tillerson told ABC. He said the United States expects China, the main ally of North Korea, to do more to rein in the regime in Pyongyang. Indicated that they will, and I think we need to allow them time to take action, Tillerson said. Pictures, it says, ask if the development of a long-range ballistic missile red line for Trump. Tillerson said, if we judge that perfected that type of delivery system, then that becomes a very serious stage of their further development. Chinese premier was at Mar-a-Lago on Thursday night when Trump launched strikes against the Sharat air base in Syria. Korea and its neighbors have escalated in recent months as Pyongyang, with its quest to develop intercontinental capable of carrying a nuclear warhead to the mainland United States. Earlier this year, Kim Jong-un missiles, which flew around 310 miles before dropping into the Sea of Japan. Last week, the regime test-fired another missile, though it flew only about 60 miles before malfunction and exploding. There's also Stage 5 nuclear test, 2 of them last year, and satellite imagery suggests it could be preparing for a 6th. Intelligence officials have warned that Pyongyang, than 2 years away, to deliver a nuclear warhead to the continental United States. Then there's some information about the USS Carl Vinson, if you want to read up on that. I have for you in this episode. There will be more episodes to follow. If you like what I'm doing here, give it a thumbs up. Share it on your social media so everybody gets to hear the news. Subscribe, and that way you'll stay informed. I'll see you in the next one.